Tonight sharing her story called It's Not a Frog. Please welcome to that stage, Crystal Uris.
So, daughter of 2 military men. My dad was Air Force for 15, my stepdad was Navy for 23, and we did a complete circle around the United States map. Never got to leave the country, but it's been exciting. And every place you go, you get to not only learn new people and new places, but you get to learn what Mother Nature has to offer. And in Northern California, there's a little spit mark on the map called Pasquenta. And it was actually my mom's hometown, and we've ended up back there a few times. And if you look at most of the calendars on people's refrigerators in Pasquenta, in the springtime there is a magical time where they mark on their calendar, and it's magical just in the fact that everybody does it because they mark it with begin wolf spider season. Oh. Yeah, great times had by all. Now for me, I am hyper aware and hyper vigilant when it comes to our arachnid friends. I fully believe that they are proof that aliens exist. I do not believe arachnids fit our biological puzzle. I've been hospitalized by them before, and it's just, I have a very real fear of them. I do see their purpose, and if they're outside, it's live and let live. We'll say hi to each other on our way back and forth, and that's about it. If they're in my house, I'm sorry, they're dead, and usually by someone else's hand. I've gotten much better. My husband's a trucker, so I have to take care of them myself, and my cat refuses, and the dogs just don't know any better. So yeah, down in Northern California, there is a wolf spider season. So that's just a precursor to this story. When we moved back there, one of the times, we were staying in the old family home, and at the time we lived there, it probably should have been condemned. It was in really poor shape. It had been boarded up for a number of years, but because it belonged to my mom's family, it was a free place for us to live. So we moved in for a short time, and one of the first nights we were there, my sister, who was probably about 8 at the time, went to the bathroom in the middle of the night and she fell through the floor. Yeah, there was this, the floor had rotted out. So literally at 2 o'clock in the morning, I went to a neighbor's house with a piece of plywood and asked to use their bandsaw. So that was very confusing for the neighbors to hear a bandsaw going at 2 o'clock in the morning. So I took this piece of plywood, cut it into a U shape, fit it around the toilet, and we were good to go. It was just me and my mom and my 2 younger sisters, and my stepdad was off doing his thing for the Navy at that time. So, you improvise, you make things work. Well, that didn't necessarily seal up the hole in the floor. And what we were concerned with were frogs. I remember vividly as a kid, there are frogs everywhere out there in the spring and early summer until the water starts to dry up. And my cousin and I, we used to go take a bucket, we'd put rocks in there and some grass and throw water in there, and we'd go catch pollywogs down in the ditches, and then we'd watch them grow up into frogs until they hopped out of the bucket and they were gone. It was our own little ecological science experiment. So that was great. Well, my sister was and still is a very girly girl, and so she didn't like to get dirty, she didn't like icky things, she had to wear her ruffles and her pink and have her hair done every day. And so one day Mom says, it's time for you to go get in the shower, and she does, and she wasn't even in the shower 2 minutes, and we heard this, and she comes running out, kid you not, naked, dragging the shower curtain and screaming. And Mom calms her down, and she's like, what is wrong? She says, there's a frog in the tub. It jumped on me. And we all just rolled our eyes. Oh, Jill. Mom put up the shower curtain, threw the kid back into the tub, pulled the frog out of the tub, and she finished her shower. This happened 2 more times. And mind you, this is in the spring, so the frogs, they're little at that point. They're not very big, but they are quite the hoppers. And so one time it landed like on her arm, and she came out screaming, and it was sitting on her arm. And I just felt so bad for this frog just to hear this shrieking noise. I mean, if it hurt my ears, I can't imagine sitting on her shoulder listening to that. So the 4th time this happened, it was all out mayhem. Like, she completely lost her mind. You know, this 8-year-old girl who's very tall for her age. And just, you know, this child that was just inconsolable. She comes running out of the bathroom. And this time she has shampoo in her hair, and it's dripping into her eyes. And stinging, no doubt, but her eyes are wide open. And she's just freaking out. My mom finally calms her down, and she goes, "For crying out loud, Jill, it's a frog." And very clearly, like, her voice dropped about 10 octaves, and she goes, "No, Mommy, it's not a frog." "Oh, really?" "It's a spider." And then she goes back to gibberish. So she looks at me, and she's like, "Will you please go look?" And I said, "Do you have the baseball bat?" She didn't have a baseball bat. So I walk into the bathroom, and I'm very gingerly, you know, you don't want to get too close to these things. You just never know when they're going to pop out and do this. So just very gingerly pulling back the shower curtain, and my heart's just pounding, and I'm keeping an eye on the hole in the floor, making sure that my feet are safe, and I pull back the curtain. Nothing. And I'm like, "Mom, there's no spider in here." And Jill is just irate. "Check the drain! Check the drain!" Now, a normal sized drain, you know, it's about that round. Would you agree? It's about that round. And so I look down into the drain, and I can see eyes. That's all I saw were the shiny black 8 million eyes. I swear to God they had eyelashes, and they were fluttering my way. And I'm like, "Mom." And now my mom grew up in this house. She knows how big these wolf spiders can get. And then fun facts about wolf spiders, if they can be fun at all, they're actually quite horrifying. They do not make webs. They hunt and kill their food, including small rodents. When they have their babies, they don't just lay an egg sac somewhere. The eggs hatch, they come out of their mother, and they ride their mother's back in hundreds. So if you can come across one and hit it with a broom and the hundreds of babies going flying everywhere, that's like the worst day of your life. And the female spiders always get bigger than the males, and they're more aggressive. So what they do when they catch their prey is they have a paralytic in their venom, and that's about all it would do to a human, is it would turn your skin or whatever just hard for a few days. And Frankie Finger got his name because he got bit on the middle finger, you know, and he came to school with a stiff middle finger for a few days, so we called him Frankie Finger after that. So it's just very real and present danger. So yeah, I'm looking down at this, and my voice changed, and I'm like, "Mom." And she comes in, and she looks down in there, she goes, "Turn on the hot water." And she steps back. I'm like, "Mom, why are you making me do that?" She goes, "Just turn on the hot water." We had a very good hot water heater, and so full blast hot should have killed anything. I turned on the faucet, full blast hot. And this thing, I kid you not, had to squeeze itself up, and it sat. And its body covered the drain. I could not see the drain. And Mom's like, "That is the biggest wolf spider I have ever seen." And we're both just having our freak out moment. And she's like, "Go get a broom." And I'm like, "No, this thing will take the broom and hit it, you know, hit me with it." And she's like, "Okay, go get your biggest, flattest shoe that you can find." So I went and found one of my Nike, you know, big flat flip-flop things. And she takes a broom and the other end, and she's holding the shower nozzle full blast on this thing, and taking the broom and like nudging, and this thing is just lethargic. It's just not hardly moving, and she gets it to, you know, move to the middle of the tub, and she's like, "Okay, on the count of 3, I want you to swing that flip-flop as hard as you can." And she's like, 1, and I'm like, "Wait, I'm not ready." And she goes, 2, "I'm not ready." And she goes, 3, and I went flap like that, and that thing exploded.
Oh.
So, about that time, my sister walks up behind us and goes, "I told you so." So yes, Jill, it was not a frog, and we're so sorry. That was life down there during wolf spider season, and people literally marked it on their calendars, as if you needed to be reminded of the horrors of Mother Nature. I would have rather come across a scorpion or a rattlesnake, anything other than those. And during that season, you could not come across those things. or you came across them at least every other day, the adult-sized ones, and they were fast. I don't like anything with a faster land speed record than I do. You know, when you talk about footsteps to ground ratio, these things had me covered. No, I will never live down in California ever again.